Hello everyone, welcome to our test of Aldi versus Morrison's 10-year Tawny ports. There's a clear winner in this test, so stick around and find out who it is. Okay folks, so here we are with our Morrison's versus Aldi 10-year Tawny port test. I'm going to be interested how this turns out. I will tell you that I had hoped to buy some Costco Kirkland 10-year Tawny. Last year they had it in the store here in Britain through like April or May. This year there's none to be had. Go figure. But anyway, so we have here Morrison's. We have a video on this port, not this year's, but we have a video on this port which we found very good value for money. And then we have this Fletcher's brand at Tawny Port, which is a completely made up name, by the way, that Aldi sells their 10-year Tawny. Some people speak very highly of this Aldi's port, so we'll be interested to see how that goes. We'll do a colour test, a sniff test, and a taste test. So let's start with Morrison's, which is actually a Symington product. Symington's an old house, still family run, by the way. Have some huge names in port. Graham's, Coburn, War, Dow, probably some of the largest and best vineyards in the Douro Valley. So they know how to put a port together. This is just shy of £16 a bottle. And I have considered it in the past very good value. So let's just have a look at the colour. Well, it is tawny, that browny colour. Good legs on this port, form up very quickly. Let's have a sniff. I'm off camera, by the way, so excuse me. Not a huge nose, plummy. I've got a bag of pitted prunes in the cupboard here, and the smell reminds me of those a little bit. Dried fruit, certainly. So let's have a taste. Little tannins. Well, let me back up. Tingly. So it has a few tannins in there, but they're not unpleasant. I'm still tasting this port, which is a good thing. Fruity, raisins, again a bit like the nose, mostly dried fruit. Very pleasant and easy drinking port. And I'm still tasting it, which is a very, very good thing. The taste doesn't disappear. Let me just go and have a little glass of water to rinse my mouth, and we'll try the Fletcher's. Sitting here regarding these two ports as they sit on the table, this Fletcher's Aldi product appears darker to me than the it's quite tawny, doesn't form legs like the Morrison's brand does. This is, I'd expected this almost to be a So Great product, but it's put together by Taylor Fladgate's bottler. So this is a Taylor's product. God knows, who the maker is. There's no way for me to tell. It's probably a blend between makers to get to be a 10-year port. So let's have a sniff. There really isn't much nose to this port at all, to be honest. You can smell there's wine in the glass, but it really doesn't smell of anything. By the way, value. Well, value's not just about price, folks. This was £13.49. Incredible price. But then that's what Aldi's known for, low prices. And they certainly deliver on that front. For people who aren't in Britain, and perhaps even for some Britons who may not realise it, you pay both duty on the alcohol in this wine and 20% value added tax on top of that. I asked AI to work out for me how much value is actually cost is in the actual wine. And it's about £6.80p, a little short of £7. So nearly half of the cost of this bottle. And you could say the same thing for the Morrisons, by the way, is duty and VAT. Just remember that in America, you pay sales tax after you've bought the wine. I'll have to research, by the way, just what duty there is on wines in America, and I'll put that into that part. Let's have a taste and see what this is like. Bearing in mind, as we said, there's not much nose. It doesn't build strong legs. Certainly fewer tannins than the Morrison's port. Folks, I have to say, it's not an unpleasant drink, a good daily drinker, but it doesn't taste much of anything. I'm not going to leap out and say, oh, it's plums, it's chocolate, it's wine. I've seen some comments that say this is reminiscent of a ruby port, actually, less than a Tawny. I certainly find it a little lacking, to be blunt with you, if we're talking about a 10-year Tawny. Somebody was convinced it tastes like a 10-year Tawny because it's got this guarantee sticker on it. I'm not, honestly, and in fact, I'm quite disappointed. I won't be buying any more. So the clear winner of this taste test is Morrison's the best. Yep, you pay £2 more, but it's £2 well spent. It's great value for money. This Fletcher's is inexpensive. You have to give them that. And, it would be a passable daily drinker, but it really doesn't bring anything. I'd rather spend the extra £2 and buy Morrison's. So there's my test. Those are my impressions. Remember, I've said this before and I'll keep saying it. Palates are different. The people at Good Housekeeping love this. I don't. So there you are. Thank you for watching. I hope you found it interesting. If you did, please like, subscribe, and share with your friends. It makes a difference to the channel.